Hello, everyone. This is Jordan. Welcome back to the Daily Gold YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Friday afternoon, July 25th, 2025. And if you're new here, we are going to wrap up the week in precious metals as we do each and every Friday. So, precious metals, I was a little bearish in last week's video. At the beginning of this week, we saw a lot of strength in precious metals. Looked like I was totally wrong. But then to close the week, we saw more selling. Some good buying in gold stocks today, even though gold and silver were weak. The reality is the gold and the gold stocks, they remain in a bullish consolidation. Silver is performing better. Still has upside to 41 or 42, but could be taking a breather here. Let's get into the video. So first, we start off with our market overview. These are daily bar charts going back to February, about 5 months. And so here we see with gold, is this a bullish consolidation or a very bullish consolidation? I suspect it's a bullish consolidation. Gold has been holding the 50-day moving average here, but there is a chance maybe it bounces, but there is a chance it could roll over a bit. And maybe it needs another test of this support here because let's face it, I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, it's multiple times it's tested this level. It hasn't been able to break through. So there's still some sellers, there's still some supply. And so again, it's going to take more time, but I'll get more into that. Silver, we can say, looks like the bull flag pattern probably failed. Although if I'm wrong, you'll see it slingshot next week to 40 and higher. I don't think that's going to happen. Here we see GDX here, nicely above the 50-day moving average, whereas GDXJ is not. Stock market still holding up really well. Silver stocks, of course, they've been performing better than gold stocks. Gold against the stock market. Here it looked like it was breaking out a bit, but then that completely reversed the last 3 days of the week. So this looks like this is probably a new weekly low here, coming into some strong support. But I will get into better and stronger details about these things in the coming charts. So here we have gold, the daily bar chart here with the 150-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. Here's gold against the stock market, which we just referenced. And you can see my sketches here in a very bullish consolidation. The black would play out. If not, the blue would play out. And based on the selling the last couple of days, looks like the blue could be playing out. This is coming into really strong support here. Remember, this here was a breakout of a 4.5-year long base, 4.5-year long resistance. So this is going to be really strong support. And you also have the 200-day moving average. So my guess is look for something like this, like we see in blue. It could come down here more and then try and stabilize for a month or two before eventually rallying. I put this vertical line here because this is 5 months after we had this peak here. And there's a chart. I didn't include it in this update. I didn't get around to it, but I've talked about this before. The two biggest breakouts in gold's history, aside from the one that occurred in March of 2024, the 13-year cup and handle breakout. The other two were 1972, which is the biggest breakout of all time in all markets, and then the breakout in 2005, which is a little different. It's a breakout of a 20 or 22-year base, slightly declining base, but not to new all-time highs. Anyway, the point with those two is they broke out, they made a big move, and after the first big move, what happened? One corrected for 5 months, the other corrected for 4.5 months. Those are in terms of time. The price low came early. So what that suggests, this right here is 5 months, that the next leg higher in gold, maybe it's not going to begin until somewhere around beginning of September, end of August, or the mid to late September. So it's perfectly normal for gold to consolidate for another, another month and a half or so. It needs more time before the next big breakout move, the next leg higher can begin. And that's why, look, it's failed here at this level once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. And this is heavy selling the last 3 days. So look for more consolidation in gold, again, through the duration of the summer. Okay, moving on. What does that mean for silver? Well, one thing is, I noted this was a bull flag developing here. That's your bull flag. upside projection to $41 an ounce. So you had this little pullback, but this selling the last couple of days, that to me negates the pattern in the bull flag. It's probably failed. The only way it hasn't failed, and I say that because we always have to look at both sides. If it has not failed, you'll see a move like that next week where it just shoots like that up to 41. Now this ascending triangle pattern, which is also a rough pattern, this projects to 41. This baby is still in play. So even though the bull flag pattern for silver, a really, really bullish pattern, has failed, the technicals are here still arguing that silver is en route to $41. And I'll mention this as I have repeatedly recently. You have monthly, you have weekly and daily resistance at 42, 43 for silver. So I suspect 41, 42, that's the next big stop. But short term, if we're going to see more selling in gold, we'll probably see at least a little bit more in silver. And so this could possibly, 37's initial support, but this could potentially dribble down here to 36. Now looking at the weekly chart, this is the silver weekly candle chart, and this is the thumbnail, which I love because you can look at the whole thing here. We can see the significance of 35, especially right here. This resistance, so breaking above 35, 35 is now significant support. This is the 41, 42, or even 43 area. There's none of this resistance here. So again, this is the significant resistance and next upside target area. This is a strong support of 35. Weekly candle charts here. Now, sometimes I can read too much into the candles, but these last couple candles are not bullish. Okay, 3 weeks ago, super bullish candle here. 2 weeks ago, not really bullish. This week, this is a bearish candle. This is an inverted hammer. This is a bearish reversal candle. So this makes an argument that we're going to see silver come down maybe to this area, like I pointed out in the last slide, maybe a 36. Keep an eye on 35. That's really strong support. So I'm not predicting it's going to test 35 or even 36, but we have to know the possibilities. Bearish candle on the weekly, so that could come down a couple bucks over the next week or two. Now, before we get to the stocks, I just want to thank all of you who have joined the Daily Gold Premium, especially those who've joined recently. I appreciate all of you subscribers and your business. It means so much to me, and it just motivates me more and more to every week to keep digging to find quality companies that are trading at really good values and have that big upside potential. So I'm looking forward to uncovering more of those as we progress in this bull market. And it's good. If we see some selling this week, we get more of a pullback. The bullish consolidation can continue, but lower prices, that's better values for you and me, especially if you have too much cash. There could be some good values coming up in the next week or two. We cover it all in the Daily Gold Premium. Go to thedailygold.com/premium. Head on down to the bottom and you can subscribe. I promise you will not find a better value for all the work we do. We'd love to have you come aboard. Thank you, and let's wrap this up with the stocks. So the big picture for the gold stocks, and I talked about this in other videos, they broke out of 4.5-year bases several months ago. So they're in big breakout mode. They still have plenty of technical upside, but this is what gets me really excited. So this is GDX against the 60/40 portfolio. Here's GDXJ against the 60/40 portfolio. Do you guys remember in March when gold broke out of a 10-year base against the 60/40 portfolio? What happened? It reignited the entire sector. The stocks started crushing it. Silver started moving a little bit. I mean, it's heated up more after that, but it was so significant for the sector because it indicated that capital, more and more of it, was going to move away from conventional assets and into gold. And so now we're coming up on a potential breakout from a 12-year-long base, GDX against the 60/40 portfolio right here. This is where we are now. For those who are listening and not watching, you have major resistance just below 4, call it 3.8, 3.75 or so. This closed at 329. So there's still some ways to go, but again, we're looking at the 12-year-long base here, and I like the action in this ratio. I don't know if it's going to break out in the next 2 or 3 months. Maybe it'll be 8 months, maybe it'll be 4 months. but a breakout is coming, and this will set the stage for a whole new pool of money to move into the gold stocks. And here's GDXJ against a 60-40 portfolio. That does have a lot more room to go before making a breakout. But, GDX will make the move, and then GDXJ will do after. And by the way, it just popped in my head. I should probably look at SIL, a chart of SIL against the 60-40, or even SILJ. That would be interesting. So even though gold stocks have had a great move in the last year or two, there's still another wave coming, and it's going to be even bigger this time. Now, finishing up here, we'll talk about the short term. Here's GDX, GDXJ. These are the daily candle charts. SILJ here at the bottom. This thick blue line, that is the 4.5-year long resistance that GDX and GDXJ broke out of. So GDX, that resistance is at 43. GDX today closed just below 54. Initial support here at 50. It's bounced off at 1, 2, 3 times. The move in Newmont, I think, is the reason why you have this great white candle, this bullish candle today in GDX. So I like that. Would love to see this break above 54. This is a continuation inverse head and shoulders pattern, which projects to 58 if this move can break above 54. Or maybe it just consolidates like this for another couple more weeks or another month. GDXJ, not quite as strong right now, but I do like the bullish hammer. So even though the metals are weak in the last few days and today, you see a nice bullish hammer in GDXJ. So really encouraging. Also a bit of a bullish hammer in SILJ, although not quite as bullish, but still a hammer. So that's where we are for gold, silver, and the gold stocks. Gold remains in a bullish consolidation. And as I said last week, gold could go down to 3150 and still be in a big bullish consolidation. Regardless of what happens, it still needs more time before it can make that next big breakout move. Silver acting a bit on its own. Could come back a couple bucks here, but still has upside to $41, $42. That's where we are here and now. Hope you had a great week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the short term. Would love to hear from you. I read all your comments. Thank you so much for your support, and hope you have a great weekend ahead. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.